where these lots are gonna finish. Where these lots are gonna finish. Most probably round of 16. And if they're lucky enough to actually get a good draw in the round of 16, they can most probably go to a quarterfinal, and they will be embarrassed. Embarrassed. Surely embarrassed. France, Portugal, Germany. You'd seen Austria play. You'd seen Scotland play yesterday. So I take that back again, but then England go to the finals and will be facing Italy in the Euro 2020 finals. Let me be honest. Let me be honest. We talk about Gareth Southgate. We talk about this England side having been almost or all over the field. They've been having those good players, all those quality players, world-class players, and still they couldn't do anything so far. May that be the previous era of Wayne Rooney, Steven Gerrard, David Beckham. They haven't won anything. They haven't won anything. This time too, with a manager in Gareth Southgate, you could say that no, he doesn't have tactics, he doesn't have a system of play, and all that stuff. You can relate it with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I, as a United fan, could relate it with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because it has been happening with United too. But the context is very different. He has players and he doesn't have those bench and all. You can say that all day long. But then, progressing to the finals for the first time, progressing to a major tournament finals for the first time in the history. I mean, first time in 55 years. And then for the Euro Championship for the first time in their history. It's magnificent. It's actually magnificent. You talk about individual brilliances, you talk about the quality in players, everything. The excuses are going to come up, but it's difficult. It's difficult. So we'll be talking about the England pros and cons in this video, and also the Denmark, how they won our hearts by actually giving their everything in this tournament. You can actually say they are the dark horses, or they are that fun team to watch. Christian Eriksen, they have been doing it for Christian Eriksen and all. And then we'll talk about much more positive and negative points as well. So without wasting any time, let's get this started. You mentioned Gareth Southgate, how he hasn't been picking Grealish, he hasn't been picking Saka or Sancho, and then Sterling, he's been overusing Foden, and then Trippier and all those things we'll be talking about. But then he does it for fun, and you know that it isn't wrong. It isn't wrong. Now you'll be saying Saka is playing, he's just 19 years old in a semi-final against Denmark, one of the biggest games. It can be some dodgy decisions, but he is class. He isn't world class, but you could say he is class. He has been proving it in the Premier League, and he has been one of those, problems for any defense who has been facing him. Saka or Sancho, it is obviously wealthy. No one is actually so poor. Foden is actually very good as well. He has been playing in the Champions League. Saka is good, Sancho is good, Rashford is good, but he's having an injury, so he better not be risked. And then you can say Ben Chilwell is also good, but those team selections has been observed by Gareth Southgate, and you can say that these are class players too. So there isn't actually a bad lineup there. Mason Mount is actually so equivalent to Grealish too. He has been doing it very well. So you can understand that Gareth Southgate's lineup problems hasn't been actually a problem. It's been problems from this fan base and in those Twitter users. Now talk about the goal. Harry Kane drops deep, receives a ball, and then gives a perfect pinpoint through ball to Bukayo Saka. Now you mentioned Bukayo Saka, why he's brilliant. Those energy, that young dribbling, and you can say he's so good in that right wing role, or you put him in the left wing role as well. His runs, his in behind, his cut in runs has been so brilliant for Arsenal. It's just that there isn't any finisher in Arsenal who can actually capitalize that, but you have Kane and Sterling here. So Saka was brilliant. And Harry Kane, you guys say that chemistry, Harry Kane is class. You want him in the target man role, you want him goal side, you want him at the back, assisting, creating, scoring goals for fun. That's the kind of player we need in a big game, and he has assisted in a big game. And Saka for Sterling, and it's an own goal from Simon Kjær. It was deserving. Now we talk about the first goal which happened before that is Damsgaard free kick, that is a stunner. We talk about Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford. Now, you could actually, if you have been watching Premier League, you could say that England's best goalkeeper is Everton's goalkeeper, not Manchester United's goalkeeper. I don't have any racism here, I'm not a racist here. But then you could say Jordan Pickford isn't good enough. Isn't good enough. Now, I'm not judging him from this game solely because he hasn't been a bit more rusty, and you could say at England he has been one of those saviors, you could say, at one point of time. But you have Dean Henderson, you have Nick Pope too. Nick Pope, who is actually injured. So Dean Henderson, so they can be given those chances. They actually can be given those chances. Jordan Pickford is blindly followed, and in a big game like this, his distribution was absolutely poor. Absolutely poor. Whenever the ball has gone to it, the match doesn't end without a goalkeeper being involved in every way. So ball is going to go to him, and whenever it has gone to him, his clearances, his actual passes has been so brilliant, so lackluster. So lackluster. His clearances were always fouls or always going to throw-ins, and it is ridiculous to see. Am I overreacting? No, I'm not overreacting. I've been seeing the Jordan Pickford for the past year or two that he has been a bit more shaky. He has been doing some magnificent saves too, but in these big games, it's much more important to be cool and composed, and he wasn't. He wasn't today against Denmark, and it is actually so annoying, and it could have costed us. It could have costed us. Denmark were, you could say, clinical or not? No, they were not clinical. They had their chances. They had one of their beautiful plays, and we were actually caught wide open at times. Maguire's stones have been opened up in those 1-2 plays, and they were actually rocking that, bossing that midfield, you could say. Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice were nowhere in the first half. They were literally, and it was worrying. It was worrying because Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips, you could say, they are young midfielders, young defensive midfielders. They can be wrong at times. Calvin Phillips was actually going forward to press, was actually as going for a press as a striker. You don't do that. Gareth Southgate has to say that to him. He talked about Calvin Phillips a long times when we have been making those England videos. He has been going forward to press. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. You are a defensive midfielder. You have to stay back. You have to stay back. We have an extra midfielder. We talked about that lack of extra midfielder in the previous game, and we have it now. We have it now extra with Mount, and you don't have to press. You don't have to press. The second goal, Sterling, penalty. It was a penalty or not, that's a big decision. No, it wasn't a penalty. It was in no way a penalty, and you could say, being unbiased, don't be biased. I'm an England fan, I've been following England. If you're not biased, you could say that it's not a penalty. It's a soft decision. Now, VAR actually says it and corrects it and gives the penalty, saying that it's not a clear and obvious error by the referee, which you can agree. It depends on the on-field decisions and what referee are actually seeing. Now, if referee would have seen that and you would have thought, okay, it's not much more convincing to me, and if you're given, no, it's not a penalty, to carry on, and we have looked at VAR and VAR is trying to check it, then you could say that VAR would have stayed with the decision, saying it's not a clear and obvious error from the referee, so you can say that, okay, it's not a penalty. But it changes. The referee was absolutely shit in this game. So awful. So awful. You could say Euro 2020, that referee quality has been so magnificent, but today it was so awful. It was so awful. Now, because that people would remember 100 positive things and could actually dot down that one negative you have been holding up. So that's the case here, and it was awful. In a semi-final, it is awful, and everything could have changed. That was a moment, and given the penalty, Harry Kane, spot on, was saved by Kasper Schmeichel, and then rebound by Harry Kane. That was momentary. That was tears. You could say that Foden picture in the thumbnail, you could say that Foden was all of us. England going to the finals, Italy versus England. It's going to be riots. Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw. You see how lucky we are to have these players. Rashford, Sancho too. We are so lucky, so damn lucky to have Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba. People don't realize this. People don't realize this. If you're not using Twitter, you are so grateful for not using Twitter, because the abuse Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire get in Twitter on daily basis is absolutely shocking. It's so shocking. And you could say Denmark deservedly out or undeservedly out, they gave their everything. And you could say that their plays has been one of those brilliant plays in the first half. Then second half they actually sat back after that one goal, and they are trying to pull that up to penalties. And if that actually went to penalties, it was Denmark. It was Denmark. Sorry to say, you could have Grealish, you could have Sterling, you could have Rashford, everyone in penalties, but then in those pressure situations, they're gonna miss it. They're gonna miss it. It would be surprising if Grealish misses. It would be surprising if one of those actual penalty takers, Kieran Trippier, could miss it. Anyone could miss it. This actual championship, this Euro 2020, they have been massive. They didn't concede a goal. For the first time, they conceded a Damsgaard free kick, and then Italy waits. You could say that's going to be a big game for England. Let's see what they can offer.